Hey, and we are the Coalition, loud and proud, outrage porn-free, civilly disobedient media broadcasting live at your Pawtucket City Hall. And we've been canceled. Yes, canceled, I say. A meeting was scheduled to happen tonight for the august, if you will, men and women, if you will, the fathers of Rhode Island, the Solons, the wise men and women who have brought this city to made this city what it is today, canceled. So I'm standing here with David Fargnoli. Of course, you know he ran for Board of Ed, as I call it in this town. He also served nobly on the Superintendent Search Committee. And I'm with Khrystyne Bento, and we know Khrystyne. She is, I would say, almost a lifelong activist here in the City of Angels, Pawtucket, Rhode Island. I'm not going to quote state law on this because it's fuzzy. They have the right to cancel a meeting if they can't get quorum. Now, it speaks to the commitment of the people on the committee if, in fact, they can't get people to bother to show up. A meeting that they'd actually advertised days ago. But the insulting part of this, and there's always, let's just say that when it comes to being personally insulted, the City of Pawtucket City Hall is what they refer to as a target-rich opportunity. And so the insulting part of this is this was posted at 2:34 this afternoon on the Secretary of State's website. So if, unlike most municipalities where if there's a cancellation, and we understand that's going to happen, all right, could be illness, who knows what. Maybe they're suffering from a severe case of embarrassment. That could be happening. Or they had a sudden sense of being sentient as human beings and realizing what utter fools they'd made of themselves. By the way, this is the editorial content. Fools they'd made of themselves the last 2 weeks. But the insult here is they chose not to publish it on a website, publish it anywhere. So you've got a couple of folks here who showed up, eager to participate in this democratic experiment here on the shining city of the hill, Pawtucket, Rhode Island, and turns out we wasted our time. Shocking, shocking, as they say. So the two people in front of me are concerned citizens, longtime activists, but they've also got lives. They've got family commitments, they work, there's children involved, there's all sorts of things that has to happen for someone to take the time, and by the way, all credit to folks who take the time, whether it be to watch virtually if they can't get out of the house, or for folks who particularly take the time to show up, having prepared testimony, and essentially short-circuited their lives for the last week. So I'm first going to turn it over to Mr. Fargnoli. David, what's happening here? What's your sense of this? Do you find this insulting?
I found it insulting the way the conduct in which this commission has been handling itself from day one. Right. Not recognizing public outreach, city administrative or commission interference of public outreach, and the lack of ability to read it into the record if they weren't going to acknowledge it. Today was more, for me, about continuing this and supplying them what they denied last week. And also, I had plenty to say, but we're not going to let the rabbit's going to stay in the bag because this meeting will have to be rescheduled. So, I have 2 children. I'm a single dad. Hey, I'm here because I care. And anyone who knows me knows I stand up. We got to get that unity back, keep it going. And, the fact that we're here, that may intimidate some people that sit in this very building that we're standing right now. If you turn around, you see the city council chamber sitting right behind us. We're both ready to walk up in there. Had a lot to say tonight. Shut down. Listen, with this commission, you've been finding contradicting information on state and city sites. I think I was one of the first to point that out, and I'm going to keep pointing it out because something ain't right. And we all know what's not right. And I'm going to hand it over now because I don't want to get too emotional, but I know there's more to be said, and from another whole perspective.
Ms. Bento, you're no stranger to these halls.
Absolutely not.
And as we like to say on the Coalition Radio Network, in the halls of justice, where do we find justice?
In the
halls. So here we are tonight. You work, have family, a lot of. Your thoughts on having to go to a Secretary of State's website to find out that a Charter Review Commission, which had been set up in the middle of the night with little notice as meetings, in fact, we've determined that they are in violation and we're going to be pursuing charges. Now you have what's probably a legal shutdown of it. Do you think it's a coincidence? Do you think they realize that the gig's up and maybe they're just going to go gently into that good night?
I've been around so long, Pat, and you have to. First, I want to say thank you for giving us a voice, even though they shut it down. But we all know that there's hoops all through these hallways, right? We got to jump through hoops for everything.
Landmines.
If you think that this cancellation of this meeting is not by design, it is. It's to postpone what the administration wants to happen, right? Anybody who watched the last episode on your show would know that what happened here last week was a show out of a bunch of concerned citizens, right? That were making more valid points than the people that were appointed to look over this whole thing. And we're frustrated because we are tired of the mayor appointing people to wherever he wants them to be, right? And then we've got to put up with it because he appoints the people that don't know better. I'm not saying they're not great people. They're probably good people. They're just not good for a charter committee because they don't know what they're doing. They clearly admit that they really don't have much of a clue. Mr. Barry, okay, he was part of the council, right? And now he's part of this charter committee, which I find ironic because in all the years that he was on the city council, he was supposed to be running the charter committee, but it was dormant, wasn't operational, nothing was happening for years. And now all of a sudden he's no longer on the council and here he is part of this committee. Like, what changed? Are you really gonna have something happen now? I appreciate his comments from last time that it needs to slow down. But what happens when you suggest something needs to slow down and we, the public, have convinced the committee that they obviously don't really know what they're doing, right? Now what happens is it gets shut down by the administration.
Yeah.
Because now they want this to go forward so bad. How dare they even think about slowing down? He wanted to push this through. Remember, all this stuff happens behind closed doors. We weren't supposed to find out any of these meetings were happening. That's why they schedule them the way they do. But thanks to you, and thanks to people like everyone else who showed up last week, that was on their Facebook pages, letting everybody know this was happening. I didn't know until you guys let me know that it was going on last week, right?
And you're hypervigilant.
Right. I watched some of your first videos, right? And I heard some lies and discrepancy coming from some of the committee meeting members who I happen to know personally and know of their background. Just lies. I mean, you're picking and choosing who our leaders are going to be for this thing, but did we pick them? Anytime an administration selects who the leaders are of the communities, you got a problem.
Right.
Because they're really trying to avoid the real leaders.
Do you think there's any chance, and I'll throw this out to both of you, that sensing they've been caught in the act, and they really were caught in the act, none of this has to do with an earnest review of the relationship between the city of Pawtucket and the school committee. It has everything to do with the fact that the school committee stood up and said no to a mayor who wanted to do $1 million grift. Any chance, and we'll close on this note, so you can all get back to your families and, actually maybe have a little bonus time tonight, but we're making the point. Any chance that we'll never see this committee function again?
Oh, highly. This was set up for a reason. If it's not going to serve the purpose of what the mayor set it up to do, which is to get this in front of the council ASAP, right? Because we know there's a bunch of changes about to happen come November.
Right.
So if it's not going to happen his way, it's not going to happen anyway. He's just going to shut the whole thing down. We've seen this happen before, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As soon as you call them out, like a lot of the conspiracy theories, right? People call me a conspiracy theorist. I'll go there. A lot of them, they're not true, they're not true, they're not true. Then all of a sudden, when they start to become true, they go away, right?
Vaporware.
It's the same thing. Pawtucket politics is not any different. As a matter of fact, it's sneakier, you know what I mean? Because the community allows it to happen every time. How many times are they going to keep voting him in, right? He doesn't want anything to happen that he's not going to manage himself. He wants the money from the school committee or the school department to be able to do whatever he wants to do in the city, and he sees that that's probably not gonna happen anymore, right? And I'm going to state this again because that's just me. People, it's gonna offend some people, but the truth is the truth, and it's the way that I see it. He's also highly upset of the choices they made for the superintendent. That is not going down well with him, his administration, a lot of the people in the city, I'll say that, right? Because for once we have fairness happening. And for some reason, the administration in Pawtucket does not want that.
Right.
And that's sad, because we're finally getting something that kind of looks fair. And for Dylan Zalazzo to make a statement in it was one of the articles I read last week. I don't know if you saw that, Pat. He says that the leaders of the school are not doing a good job. We're in August. School hasn't even opened up yet. The superintendent hasn't even showed what she can do yet. And Dylan has that comment to make. I'm sorry. I'm a minority woman. And if you don't have no backup to what you're saying, I have to assume that you're basing it on what she looks like. When it comes to Dylan, it's like, how do you know she's not going to do a good job? How do you know she's not doing a good job?
Give her at least 2 or 3
She
days.
hasn't started yet.
Right.
Exactly. But the others were doing a good job. Not the prior one, but the one before that was giving them all the money they needed. I'm still going to keep on mentioning the $567,000 that went missing 5-6 years ago from the school lunch budget that they think is going to go away. I'm going to continue saying that until that money's found. We don't know where that went. But, of course, the superintendent that was in office at the time has disappeared, so we're never going to find out.
David, if you could just sort of bring us home, and then we all get to go home.
There's a lot to go on there.
But you think it's ever going to meet again? Do you think they got caught with their hand in the till?
I think that they're going to meet again, whether it's publicly announced, to do whatever it is their business, to maybe close this. But I want everyone, at least those who know about Pawtucket's history and how they're incorporated, to know that the state is the big brother. They'll always be the big brother. See who has appointed school committees in this state. They've all been taken over by the state. We're this close. I've been following those RICAS scores for years and following them right up. My children were a member of the Pawtucket school population. I've had my breakers. I think that if it does not succeed here, because the people have shown exactly what they said we weren't capable of. We don't know enough, right? We don't know how to vote. You know, we don't know how to step forward to do right by our communities on both sides of the river, which is what it's all supposed to be about at the end of the day.
Right.
Don't underestimate us. That would be a huge mistake. So bring the state on, because they're the only ones that are gonna able big brother and pass this kind of bull crap in our city. And I look forward to them scheduling something else and putting public participation down. Seeing as they were supposed to read my email into play tonight, they didn't do that because they didn't meet. They were also supposed to do that right at the beginning, and you could bet I was here early enough to get my name first, and I had a lot to say to this commission. It was an appointed to do a task, and hope nobody showed up. Pat, I'm sorry, that's where it ends for me. I think that Mayor McCready, meet your competition, because we're not gonna go away.
Fair enough, folks. Well, thanks for tuning in. We'll share this around, as I like to refer to, the parish of Northern Rhode Island, the great city of Pawtucket, and the variety of social media outlets. You can do us a favor if you hear this later tonight, amongst any one of the Pawtucket social media groups. You could like us. That's very important to us because it expands our reach, and we can, Facebook isn't really interested in me sharing what I have to say, nor is it interested really in the type of folks that community activists, the heart of the community that I've got standing in front of me. They're not interested in sharing what they have to say. So we need your help. So if you could like us, share us, we'd be very grateful. We are the Coalition, loud and proud, outrage, porn-free, civilly disobedient media broadcasting live on the worldwide Coalition Radio Network, Facebook.com/The Coalition Radio, on the mighty Twitter at Coalition_radio, and of course the mothership at CoalitionRadioNetwork.com. Folks, have a wonderful night. The three people that you're seeing right now, or kind of seeing, we all got more work to do. So we'll see you soon.